Hello everybody. I think it's my third take making this video because I always want to do it right. And I try to be short, sweet, and to the point and make points in layman's terms so that other people can understand without having to open a dictionary or go into Google, search the words that I'm saying. And so I want to talk about precancer cells. And if anyone, cancer is widespread. It exists in every country. And so if I say that, you say, oh, that means they have a certain gene, or it runs in the family, and et cetera, et cetera. And you're right, certain precancers do run in families. Now that I think about it, it just came to mind. But I want to talk about individuals who are not healthy, who wreak havoc, who cause harm, who relish in the pain of others, and have never been to the doctor, nor have they had a medical diagnosis telling them that they need to go in for treatment, chemo, etc. I'm talking about people that are simply not well. And I'm trying to be nice. I could say people who are kind of, I don't want to say evil, but they're just not cool. So anyways, you want to talk about people like BTK killer. He went to church. Jeffrey Dahmer got baptized, so totally forgiven for eating a number of people, this and that. But I also want to talk about people in our lives who have done a certain amount of harm to others. I can't explain why. I'm not going to go into psychology. Because if someone is not kind and is ultimately cruel, they would have to seek professional help. And is rehab possible? I don't know. For instance, in our family, both families, my grandmothers were saints. They were beautiful blessings from God. And my grandfathers were, from what I hear, not. I mean, I don't want to go into family history at this time, but I remember my maternal grandfather not being a kind person. He was not necessarily forgiving, very judgmental. If it went against the Catholic Church, God forbid, you should be cast out of the book of his life. And so you have to realize certain people in your family will carry those traits. There's precancerous traits. And so when you have a mom, dad, sibling, etc., who has caused individuals harm, know that that has existed in them and it runs through their DNA. It's the precancer cells. It can happen with your children. I said before, I was married to someone who was not so kind. And so when my children walked away, I can say part of their DNA lies with the person who was not so kind. And so when we are baffled about this world, we have to look at family history, and we have to say, well, this person might be more like so-and-so than so-and-so, and we have to say that's just the way it is, and you couldn't change grandpa, nor is so-and-so probably going to change. So what is your best route to deal with someone who has an infectious disease? Whether it's mentally, emotionally, etc., etc., your best bet is to emotionally, mentally vaccinate yourself and stay the hell away. I've said this before, that I've been told by numerous people my oldest sister is not doing well. She has caused me harm since our childhood. And nobody in her inner circle has reached out to me. She has not reached out to me, her husband, kids, my kids, etc., to say, your sister. It's just when I run into someone, they say, oh, your sister, is not doing well, and you should make amends. And What if that person doesn't want me to make amends and, they want to stay as far away from me as I do from them? So I want to say some people are precancerous. Will they change? I don't know. Even if they do, even if someone, after causing even if, let's say someone, it causes you harm and you have someone, a domestic violence situation where a wife or husband has beat one another and they've gone to prison and there's a divorce and they come back and they say, well, a lot of times the person will say, I'm really sorry. I'd like to make up and try again. But in the back of your mind, you're never going to trust that person. Why? Because there are people in this world who do not cause harm. There are kind people in this world. And I'm not saying not to give someone a chance. What if if someone is in trouble for their behaviors, they get help, they get counseling, and they do better. They can do better with someone else. It's just the way I feel. So anyways, when I sit down with my older sister, if that's what it came down to, but with my husband, apology, explanation, try to bring my children and I back together. I do have certain demands or expectations, but still in the back of your mind, you're never going to trust that person. So I don't know. That's something between you and them, you and your higher power, you and yourself. It's even you and your spouse have to decide if that's what you want to introduce into your home. It's not just you. You have to think about everyone else under your roof. So anyways, that's all I wanted to say. I hope this helps someone. I'm not perfect. I'm sure I've been a cancer to other people. And if I have been, I truly apologize. For instance, just to wrap this up, I had a falling out with someone in a certain community I'm a part of last year. We just, she blocked me on Facebook and I moved on and I said, this is not the energy, this and that. So anyways, I went to an event and this person was there and I was with my husband and he knew the situation and I said, I'm just going to walk around, mind my business, walk past and just talk to other people. And that's what I did. And then this person came up to me and she said, how's it going? I said, fine. And I gave her a hug and I said, I'm sorry. She said, I'm sorry too. I said, I respect you and I've always appreciated our, communication and, exchange. And you've always been a wealth of resource for me. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we had this misunderstanding. And we both apologized and we gave each other a hug. And that's what it's all about. If you have a falling out with someone or you have a disagreement and you both come back together and you say, I'm really sorry, you both are able to put it past you. But there comes a point in time when it has to be a two-sided thing. So anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about. I hope this helps someone else. I know it helped me to talk about it, to let it go and to move on. So anyways, think about those precancer cells. Some people have them and some people don't. So anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about, and I'll be back.